What's up, Big 12 Nation? It is Tuesday night in America. That can mean only one thing. It's time for another edition of your favorite YouTube-centric Big 12 football-themed show. That's right. It is the one, it is the only, it is the biggest 12. With me, your host, Clint Foster. Wherever you are, whether you be in the Mountain Time or in the Eastern Time or in God's time zone right here in Central Time, thank you so much for making us part of your Tuesday night. It is Utah night here on the Biggest 12 People, the Black Hats of the Big 12. But you know what? We got two beautiful guests who we're going to try and make you fall in love with Utah a little bit tonight, all right? That's the goal. We're trying to make you see the good, all right, and those folks that ruffled some feathers online on Twitter going into last season. But before we get into any of that, you know I need something from you. I need you to subscribe to the show. We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers here on the Big 12. So I need your help to do that. There it is right there, crawling across the bottom of the screen at Big 12, BOCFB. That's the voice of college football. Subscribe, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your enemies, tell your lovers, tell your sisters and brothers, tell everyone. Go tell it on the mountain. Let's make this thing an international movement, okay? Let's really do it to it, all right? And while you're subscribing and following, please follow me on Twitter at Clint_Foster55 and my personal YouTube channel at Clint Foster Creations. That's where you will see the now award-winning documentary, Remember the Alamo Bowl. Yes, I won Best Texas Feature at a film festival here in Fort Worth recently. I was extremely floored and proud of that. So you will see that when it drops in the fall. But you got to subscribe to make sure that you see it. And also, make sure that you are checking out the Voice of College Football's social media accounts. It's at VOCFB. We're easy to find, people. It's Twitter, Instagram, all the places. And, oh my God, our new website. Holy mackerel. Look at this beautiful thing. If I can get the screen to share for me. We're going to maybe be frozen here for a second. Okay, apparently we're frozen. My computer we don't want you to see it, okay? So you got to look on your own. That's the situation here. You got to look all by yourself. Am I frozen? Technical difficulties. Don't we love it? Well, am I still online? I don't even know. I can't see myself. I can't hear myself. Thank you, StreamYard, for your service. Maybe it's because it's hot in here. Is it too hot? Am I here? Am I on? No? Yes? No? Maybe? What's happening? We're getting dings. Okay, I'm back. I guess that's what I get for trying to say we're going to feel good about Utah today. Karmic retribution. No. But okay. Check out the website. It's out there. It's new. It's beautiful. And find the Voice of College Football on your audio platform of choice. We're all the places, okay? Make us a part of your commute. Make us a part of your daily experience, okay? You gotta survive week to week in between Tuesdays. Okay, so like re-listen to old shows. I don't know, or if you missed it live, cue it up on your Apple Podcasts, right, or Spotify, whatever. Okay. Let's get this thing going. All right. So I want to welcome in my two amazing guests. I'm so hyped that they're joining me. You know them from the Utah Football Fans podcast, ladies and gentlemen. It is Bryn and James. Folks, how are we doing today on this beautiful Tuesday?
What's up, dude? How are you?
We're good.
You know what, man? Technical difficulties aside, I'm doing fantastic. A little sweaty now, but
Bryn and I were texting each other during that, saying we're just glad that we're not the only ones that experienced the StreamYard technical difficulties. So
it has happened to us as well. Yeah,
many a time.
Yes. Well, before we get into all the fun and games that we have ahead of us, I gotta pose the question to you. I mentioned it at the beginning of the show. How does it feel to be the bad guys, right? You kind of wearing the black hat, being the villains of the conference. How does that feel?
It's an odd place to be in. I'm not going to lie. It's a place that Utah football has never really been in before. We've never been the big bad villains in the Pac-12, especially when we started in the Pac-12. We were like that team that nobody had heard about, nobody really cared about. And so it's been a different experience this last year to be the bad guys.
It's been great. I love it.
Yeah.
To go on record though, this group was not one of those on the Twitter machine saying we're gonna quote unquote run the Big 12. That was not this group. Was I optimistic about last year? Sure. I think everybody that goes into any football season is optimistic about their team, but it didn't go the way that we expected it. I think we'll talk about that a little bit. But you know what? It's great. And I think that as fans have gotten to know us, if anyone ever comes to Utah, comes to Rice Eccles, then they realize, like, okay, it's a pretty cool place to be. So
I can verify that. Yes, I was there. Me and Bryn were talking actually about the 2010 game. I was at that game. So it wasn't an especially loud stadium for most of that game, but it was a cool spot. It was a cool spot to be, for sure. It's so funny. Like you talk about, this isn't something that Utah is used to. I mean, we talk about the Mountain West days and the BCS Buster days. Everyone's like rooting for Utah all the time, right? Oh yeah, Utah take down big bad Alabama, and now whole different vibe for sure. Okay, so just noticing that a lot of things got like reset to factory settings here after my StreamYard got all screwy. Okay, so we like to play games here on the Biggest 12. When I say we, I mean I and my multiple personalities, to get things started out. So the theme this offseason has been trivia. All right, last year we did a lot of tier lists. This year it is trivia. So Utah trivia. All right, I got 10 trivia questions for you here.
Oh, God.
These are either Utah football related or state of Utah related. And just to give you a barometer of where we're at, Iowa State has really set the bar with this whole thing. They were 10 of 10. Okay. So,
I'm nervous now, man. This is not okay. Here we go.
The bar that you have to clear. All right. So without further ado, let me get my note pulled up. All right. So, Utah has played 13 of the current 15 Big 12 teams. They have never beaten, thus, 4 current Big 12 teams. Who are those 4 Big 12 teams that Utah has never beaten?
I mean, my guess would be the teams that none of the Pac-12 teams that came along with us.
Mm-hmm. You've played all.
So Cincinnati, Texas Tech.
That is one. That's another one. 0-2 against Texas Tech.
Who else?
West Virginia. We haven't played West Virginia, right?
No, we beat West Virginia in a bowl game.
Oh, in a bowl game.
Bryn, that doesn't count. Bryn didn't count. I cut it off in time.
Zip it.
Who are the other 2?
I don't know. Shoot, I don't know. I'm blanking.
So one of them you've never played, the other one you're 0-5 against, if that clue helps.
0-5.
Yeah, I was actually shocked by that. I was like, what?
But okay. I don't know.
Okay, the other 2, so we'll give you a half a point because you get 2 out of 5. The other two are Houston. You are 0-5 against Houston.
Houston.
Yeah,
and that's
and
crazy.
you've never played Kansas State. either.
Kansas State. Okay,
Yes. So you go. You're half.
I actually
out
did.
of one.
I actually didn't see that. Okay.
Call
right.
Houston, man. We got to step it up against Houston. Jeez.
Yeah,
Jeez, no
honestly. Okay, so we mentioned the BCS Buster days. Utah was the first ever BCS Buster in one of Urban Meyer's 2 years at Utah. When doing this research, I was like, man, he was only there 2 years. That's crazy. But in that 2004 season, whom did Utah beat in the Fiesta Bowl? You ought to know this one.
Oh, Pitt.
Pitt.
Pitt. Yes, do
there.
you remember the score?
Great.
The score?
Yeah, it's for extra points. This will get you to a full 2 if you can remember the score.
Oh man, it was.
Come on, James.
Killed them. It was 30-something to 7. I remember that.
Yeah, it was 30-something to 7. Yeah.
35-7.
Oh, he pulls it out. Look at that.
31 was in
James.
my brain, but I knew that wasn't right.
I'll give it
That
to
was
you.
a good
There we
game.
go.
That was fun.
Oh, that was so fun.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So Utah and BYU have made the Holy War color versus color game in 2011. You know, red versus blue. I love it. It's chef's kiss. So beautiful. Okay. Which other rivalry is most famous for its extensive color versus color history from 1929 to 1981, and then starting again in 2008 when the NCAA amended the rules? What other rivalry is famous for color versus color?
Oh, there's a couple of them. The ones that stand out would be UCLA, USC.
Yeah, that's the one I'm looking for. UCLA,
The one
USC.
that started to do it more recently that I love has been Oregon State, Oregon.
Yeah,
they need to keep doing that. The highlighter on highlighter is beautiful.
Frankly, I think every rivalry, if the colors are different enough, every rivalry should be color versus color.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Like a TCU Baylor purple green like Barney situation. Like let's go. Let's make it happen.
It's beautiful.
You know? Yeah,
I love
it. Okay, hey, you're 3 out of 3. We're doing pretty dang good.
Oh, I'm sweating. This is so much pressure.
Okay, now here's your first Utah history question. Okay.
Uh-oh.
All right. Who convinced Abraham Lincoln to forcibly move the Ute tribe to a reservation in the middle of the Civil War in 1864? There was a famous person who convinced Abraham Lincoln to move the Utes to a reservation out of Utah.
Bryn?
No.
I got the first 3. This one's all you.
I mean, Brigham Young would be my first thought, but
It was Brigham Young. Yes.
Okay.
The Brigham Young. Yes. Convinced
Who, by the
Abraham
way,
Lincoln
for those
in the
who
middle of
don't
a
know,
crisis. Yeah.
Brigham Young actually founded the University of Utah. So there's a little trivia. So those of you who
there's
didn't
some more
know
trivia
that,
for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
trivia
More
for you.
crossover there with
Yep.
Brigham Young in Utah. Yeah.
Nicely done,
Okay.
Bryn.
All right. So we talked a little bit about the Mountain West. How many times have TCU and Utah shared a conference?
Well, this is definitely the second time. I don't know if they shared a conference before then. The old WAC days, I don't know. I'm going to just say that twice. It seems like a trick question, but I feel like 2.
It is 3. We were in the WAC together there. From, let's see, that would have been 96 until y'all left in 98? Y'all left the WAC, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just a couple of years there.
A couple of years, yeah. In that 16-team WAC, the original super conference. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's get it right. Okay. Yeah. So I was putting the whole nation on notice. Okay. WAC.
Yeah, that's what
All
it
right.
was.
Yeah. Okay. What was used to mark the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad at Promontory Summit in 1869?
The Golden Spike.
The Golden Spike is correct, Bryn. There we go. Beautiful. Hey, we're doing pretty good here. We're doing very good. 5 out of 6. I'm loving it. All right. Okay. What actual high school in Salt Lake City served as the filming location for High School Musical?
Well, fun fact, both James and I went to that high school.
Did you really?
Yeah.
East High School, baby.
East High. Nice. Very cool. Did you really? Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, both of us.
Wow. Are y'all also musically inclined?
No.
Not
No,
especially.
that was not a thing when we were there, but
Yeah.
but now it's the famous high school.
Yeah. All right. Here's another filming location question for you. All right. So intended to be Texas, what famous location on the Utah border served as the primary filming location for the John Ford film The Searchers, which is a beautiful film, by the way. See The Searchers if you haven't, folks.
I've never heard of the movie.
This is a John Ford classic, The Searchers. Watch it immediately, James.
Kanab, Utah.
Not Kanab.
I have no idea.
It's on the southern border.
I don't know that.
I have no idea.
Famous for its large buttes. If that helps you. No, we're done. Okay. Monument Valley. Is where The Searchers was filmed. And
Wasn't getting that one.
definitely does not look like Texas at all. But it's
No.
it's supposed to be Texas in the movie.
Yeah, lots more mountains and hills.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So, 6 out of 8. We're not bad. I will say that like the average is about 6 correct answers for most folks in this. So we're trying to be above average. All right.
Yeah.
How many times has Utah won the Beehive Boot? Those of you not familiar, the Beehive Boot, this is kind of like the Commander-in-Chief's trophy. It's a 3-way trophy between Utah, Brigham Young, and Utah State. How many times has Utah held the Beehive Boot?
Oh, man. When you throw Utah State in there, that really missed.
I'll give you a clue. Utah has had it the second most times.
Yeah. I know BYU's had it the most, and then us, and then Utah State's third. I just don't know the number. I don't know.
Just take a wild guess.
Out there, James. Just
18.
Oh, you are close. It's 15. 15 times Utah's had the Beehive Boot. Oh no, 6 out of 9. Okay.
Sorry, I'm a C student, so this is perfect. This is like this is
the sweet spot.
This is the sweet spot right here.
C's get degrees, and let's get us to a 70 right here. Okay. So, everybody talks about Urban Meyer, but Ron McBride, he's the one who really resurrected Utah football, started rebuilding that program back in the 90s. So, Utah had a 30-year streak in which they had not won a bowl game. Right. Ron McBride gets Utah back into their first bowl game in 1992 since 1964. So they won the 1964 Liberty Bowl. In 1994, when Utah broke that winless streak in bowl games, what other patriotic bowl game did Utah win 30 years later in 1994?
Liberty.
So the Liberty Bowl was in 64.
Oh.
I'll give you a pass here. What other patriotic bowl game did Utah win in 94 to break the streak?
It
is a defunct bowl. I'll give you that too as a clue. This bowl no longer exists.
Dang. Oh, Liberty Bowl.
No, that's what I said.
Yeah, so it's not the Liberty Bowl. It's
but
not the Liberty Bowl. They won the Liberty Bowl in 64.
Yeah.
What bowl game did they win in 94 to break the streak? Get off the schneid. It's another patriotic themed bowl game.
Didn't they? Okay, I don't know. I thought it was the Liberty Bowl in 94, but I guess not.
Any guesses, Bryn?
No.
It was against Arizona, if that helps you. Beat Arizona 16-13.
Yeah, I don't know.
It is the Freedom Bowl.
Oh yeah,
the Freedom Bowl in Anaheim, California. So,
wow.
Hey, look at that. We're average.
We didn't do so good.
We love that. Hey, I'll give you claps for 6. You knew a lot. Some that I was quite impressed. So, I make this hard on purpose. But hey, now the muscles are loose, right? The blood is pumping.
Okay.
We're ready to talk some football. So we talked about it a little bit. Last season it was a slice of humble pie, right? What were the big takeaways from that first season in the Big 12? I would say, are y'all happy to be in the Big 12? Are you enjoying the Big 12 so far? That would be another question I have for you.
Well, I'll say my takeaways from last season, first of all. Obviously, yeah, there was high expectations for Utah going into last season and a new conference and all of that. When Cam Rising went down in that Baylor game, I still was hopeful. And then by the end of the season, we were on our fourth string guy. And James and I were talking about this earlier. Like, I think you're hard pressed to find a team who's on their fourth string quarterback who's still going to have a successful season. And unfortunately, that has been the past 2 seasons for Utah. And so
yeah,
the takeaway is I hope I never have to see my 5th string quarterback ever again, ever. Because it's been now 2 years in a row where by the last game we have our 5th string guy in, and I hope I never know the name of our 5th string quarterback ever again.
That's fair. That's fair. James, what are your overall thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, for me, Utah started 4-0 last year, including a home win against Baylor. It wasn't a conference game, but a home win against Baylor. And like Bryn mentioned, Cam Rising gets knocked out. Didn't know the extent of the injury at that point. And then went on the road with a true freshman backup quarterback in Isaac Wilson and knocked off Oklahoma State. Now, at that point of the season, no one really knew what Utah was going to look like. Oklahoma State was ranked 14 at the time. So my expectations were still really high. But then, a true freshman became a true freshman. He got hurt. Next backup got hurt. And then, you're going to your 4th string. So it that's just kind of like Bryn said, that's the way that the last 2 seasons have gone. Joining the Big 12, I don't think it happened in a way that anyone was overly thrilled about. I mean, honestly, I don't think that any Utah fan was, looking forward to joining the Big 12. Now that we're in it, I've really enjoyed other fan bases. I enjoy their passion of football. That is one thing over the Pac-12, right? Like the Pac-12, there's a million things going on. Yeah, okay, you've got USC and you've got Oregon. You've got these different things, and they love their team. But man, you get into Texas, it is a different animal. Oklahoma, it's just a different level of love of the sport, and my love of the sport, kind of marries with that. So I enjoy those relationships and the rivalries that are building. What college football is going to look like in the future, I don't know, but I think I'm going to really enjoy this season more than I did last year, and it's really fun seeing new teams come into Rice-Eccles Stadium. That was one thing when we joined the Pac-12 that was awesome. It was like, hey, we get UCLA and Oregon and Washington and Oregon State. We get those guys to come in. And then now it's going to be, hey, we get, Virginia Tech and Cincinnati and Houston and Baylor and TCU again. Like that rivalry that we had with TCU can come back. And so I am excited about that as long as Utah stays healthy, and I never know even maybe the 3rd string quarterback's name, because we've seen our 5th string quarterback. I don't think most people know their name of their 3rd string quarterback, and I've seen my 5th string quarterback twice. So
yeah. Hey, but those are that's what college football is all about, right? I still go back to the Cheez-It Bowl, TCU rolling out our 4th string quarterback who didn't have the use of one of his feet. The announcers literally say in the middle of the game, chef's kiss, beautiful. Like, what? I love this sport. The sport's so dumb. Okay, but yeah, I mean, you talk about. I promise we won't dwell on last season too much, but just really looking at that schedule and the 7-game losing streak. I mean, that's brutal. That's something that Utah fans thankfully haven't had to experience in a very long time. I mean, maybe I don't know how old y'all are. Y'all don't seem y'all seem about my age. Probably not, since y'all have been fans, right, of Utah. You haven't had to experience a 7-game losing streak. I mean, can you encapsulate that for anyone who's not from Stillwater, right? And who hasn't had to experience that recently, what that was like?
Yeah. I mean, again, we did have such high hopes. I'm not going to lie. We had really high hopes for last season. A lot of that was all on Cam Rising because the year before we hadn't had him the whole season and the year had been rough that last year in the Pac-12. And so then it was like, okay, new conference, we're getting him back. And then he goes out in that Baylor game and everything deflated, but it's like James said, there was still the hope. And then as it went along, it was so deflating and it was really disappointing. And to be quite honest, I do feel like, at least for me personally, I didn't let myself get to know the Big 12 teams as much as if I had been super excited about, you know what I mean? Like,
That's right. Yeah.
as you're going along and you keep losing. It was kind of like, okay, I just want this season to be over. And so truthfully, I don't think I paid as much attention to the Big 12 teams as I would have if I'd been a lot more hyped about it. So I am going to go into this season a lot more like, I want to get to know the teams. We haven't gone to any away games in the Big 12 yet. I would love to be able to do that at some point because, I've heard amazing things about a lot of these stadiums and the towns. So, I mean, we hadn't had a season like that probably since we joined the Pac-12, because right when we joined the Pac-12, we had a couple losing seasons, but we hadn't had the years of the really high highs at that point. So it was more, we were more used to it, I guess. So last season was, it was rough. Towards the end, I was just ready for it to be done, which is sad because I love college football so much and I want it to keep going. But I was like, okay, I'm ready to not have this anymore.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing about the 7-game losing streak, like I mentioned, I mean, we were 4-0, and five of those 7 games were one score games, one possession games. We got blown out by Colorado, but even the Arizona game was tight late into the game, and then they scored late to make it a 2-score game. So 6 of the 7 games were really close, and so I think that was part of the frustration was we just didn't have a very good offense. I mean, the offensive coordinator quit halfway through the year because it just wasn't working. You know, that was for me a huge level of frustration, is that the defense kept us in games, but we just couldn't do anything offensively. And yet, with 3 minutes left in the game, we're down by 1 point. Or, in the case of Iowa State, we were winning, right? And then they scored very, very late. So there was just so many games like that. And that's, that's kind of the beauty of college football, is that you just don't know. But traditionally, Utah has pulled those games out. And so this last year was really rough. Glad it's in the rearview mirror and that we can kind of move forward. But that's college football, and I don't think I've never had a season like that. I mean, you talked about like the 94, maybe before 1994, when I was a kid not really paying attention, but since the 2000s and the Urban Meyer years and then Kyle Whittingham years, we've never had anything like this before.
Yeah. Well, you talked about traveling to games. I'm curious, did either of y'all ever make it down to Fort Worth during the Mountain West days?
No, have not
been. We got to make it happen. Okay. Hey, next time y'all are on the schedule, come down. I'll show you a good time. We'll show you a good time at Fort Worth. Okay. So, we talked about Cam Rising. Dare I say you are now free of Cam Rising? Okay. The 40-year-old wonder. So the question is, I mean, hey, we got some excitement in the chat. Dan's calling it right now. National championship contenders in the Big 12. Maybe Utah's one of them in his eyes. What does quarterback look like for Utah heading into 2025 in a very quarterback deep league?
Yeah, so Utah this offseason, you're right. Cam Rising, he has moved on. He's now coaching back at his alma mater. To ask any Utah fan, we've got very fond memories of Cam. He led us to, 2 Pac-12 championship games. But moving forward, our new quarterback going into this season is a kid named Devin Dampier. And he is a transfer quarterback that came out of New Mexico. And we actually brought his offensive coordinator, Jason Beck, along with him. True dual threat quarterback, can throw the ball, unbelievable athlete, crazy with his legs. He played at New Mexico, so the talent around him was relatively limited. But with that talent, he still put up pretty decent numbers. I actually read a stat that there's only a handful of quarterbacks that have ever thrown for 2,500 yards and ran for 1,000 yards in the same season. Devin Dampier's on that list, along with guys like Johnny Manziel, Lamar Jackson. I mean, big time. I think Jalen Hurts is on that list. So the talent is there. Anytime you bring in a new system, who knows what that's going to look like? But the fact that he is coming in with his offensive coordinator, he already knows this system from New Mexico. That brings me a lot of hope. And from the limited amount of practices and spring ball that I've seen, I'm pretty optimistic and high on this kid. He looks really good. Bryn?
Well, yeah, I mean, no, not much else to say because it's an interesting year to be going into where truly we have no idea what our offense is going to look like. New quarterback, new offensive coordinator, basically every running back is new as well. We have some returning receivers, but again, how do you know what it's going to look like when you have that entirely new system? And at least from what we've seen and maybe read about, I do think it's going to look completely different than what Utah's offense has looked like in the past. Our offensive coordinator from the last few years, he left mid-season last year. And so now that system that Utah's been doing for years is going to be completely retooled, look brand new. So it's a strange feeling to go into this season with really, I have no idea what to expect from it. It's exciting, but it's hard when like people ask us, well, what's the offense going to look like? It's like, I have no idea.
Well, I will say this, though. I mean, hey, this is a very pro lineman show, pro offensive line show. I was looking for my hat that says lineman. I don't know where I put it. But y'all have a very experienced offensive line coming back. And that says a lot to me. Maybe we don't know exactly who's getting the rock, who Dampier is distributing it to. But a lot of these teams that are coming into this season as championship favorites, they got a lot of new pieces on the line. Most of them are transfers. And, you just don't know. I mean, hey, take it from a TCU fan. You can't just necessarily plug and play on the offensive line. Just bring in a whole bunch of transfers and like, oh, they're big. They'll be great, right? How much confidence does it give you that you've got guys coming back like you've got Spencer Fano and Caleb Lomu and Nate Johnson coming back now after a year at Vanderbilt? Get me excited about this offensive line.
The thing is football fans know that football is one in the trenches, offensive line, defensive line. Utah is known for their defense and specifically the defensive line, right? They put guys in the NFL year after year. That is where they are the strongest. And they just, they don't rebuild. They just plug new dudes in and they go in there and create, havoc. But you're right. The offensive line is getting a lot of national love. Just about anywhere you look, they're a top 5 offensive line. So if Utah truly can have a dominant offensive line that can protect the quarterback and run the ball, which is what Utah loves to do, and then you pair that with a defensive line that is traditionally very, very good, and I expect them to be again this year, that's where you're going to win a ton of your games. And that excites me. You mentioned Spencer Fano, very, very likely going to be a top, 10 pick, if not higher than that. I mean, the kid is just unbelievable. So we've got a lot of that. We've got a lot of depth. And then, like kind of what you mentioned, these guys have played together before, right? Like you can get guys that are all 4 or 5 star talent, but do they mesh? Do they understand their assignments? Do they know what the guy next to him is going to do? That doesn't always happen. The fact that these guys have been together for a while, I think that speaks volumes. I saw a list that had Utah the number 2 offensive line in the entire country behind Alabama. I mean, that's huge praise, which is not something that we're necessarily used to on that side of the football. So I'm really excited about that specific position group. Other position groups gave me a little bit of hesitation, maybe, but offensive line, that's not one of them.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this offensive line is what I've been looking forward to for the last 2 seasons because they've been young the last 2 seasons. I think 2 years ago, it was like every single offensive line player was a freshman or a sophomore. And so this year is kind of what you're building towards, right? And you want them to have played together for a few years. They're now juniors, seniors, some of them are sophomores, but still like the experience is there. And so, yeah, I'm really looking forward to see how they're going to be able to play together.
Yeah. Well, hey, Clint Moses, our resident Oregon State fan, he asked a great question. He says, like Wisconsin not running the ball, will the Ute fan base be happy not seeing power running? Wisconsin, another multi-time Rose Bowl participant, by the way. So yeah, what do y'all think about Clint's question here?
I would be fine if we didn't have a, I formation, or if it's 3rd and 8 and we just run the ball at the middle. I'd be fine if I never saw that again in Utah. I fully expect, though, Utah to still run the ball a lot. I think that's not going away, especially when you've got a quarterback who's really good at running the ball. You got to protect him. I mean, as we've seen, if your quarterback goes down, you're in trouble. But I fully expect them to still run the ball a good amount, with the mindset of you run the ball to set up the pass and not vice versa. So maybe it's just not power offense, power run, but still running the ball. And our running back room is deep. So,
and anyone who knows Kyle Whittingham, our head coach, we like to call it Whit ball, because he is notorious for, at the end of the game, he'll just want to hold on to the ball no matter what. And so he'll just keep running it. And again, he's not the offensive coordinator, but he's the head coach. And sometimes as a fan, it gets a little frustrating. We're like, no, just go and score some more so that we can win handily. But he is so
Gary
much
Patterson
about, like,
experience, yes.
yeah, he
just,
knows about time of possession and how important that is. So in his mind, it's just, no, as long as we have the ball, that means they don't and they can't score. So yeah, we're still going to be running the ball plenty, I'm sure, but I think it is going to look different. And I would like to see a little more pass heavy, maybe just a little bit more than we've been in the past.
Well, you'll have an athlete to do it. And Clint also says that the offer is still out there for the Utes to become the Pac's 8th team. He also called you Udi Patooties. So yeah, there we go. Clint's wanting you back. Okay, so we talked about Kyle Whittingham. Let's talk about that defense. Okay, Utah's defense was still good last year. I mean, hey, like you were talking about, Utah was in just about every single one of those games except for Colorado and held teams to very low point totals. What can we expect from Utah's defense in 2025? Are you hyped about that defense?
Yes. I do kind of think, for myself, I take Utah's defense for granted because it has just always been there the last few years. You've got Kyle Whittingham, who is so defensively minded, and then Morgan Scalley, our defensive coordinator, who will be our next head coach. They've already named him our next head coach. And so every year when we lose guys to the NFL, I think, well, how are they going to reload? Like, how is it going to be better? How is it going to still be the same standard? And every single year they manage to continue to just be a Utah defense. And so I fully expect it's going to be the same. Morgan Scalley will have them ready, and they are just hard-nosed, tough players. That's what you can expect from a Utah defense. And I just kind of take it for granted because they just keep doing it every year. And last year, it's hard when you don't have an offense who can stay on the field for longer than, 3 downs. And so, yeah, unfortunately, I think our defense at times just got beat into the ground because they're exhausted. When you're on the field the entire game, that does wear on you. But talent-wise and skill-wise, they're going to be a Utah defense that we have always come to expect. They just are.
Yeah, that's how they recruit. That's the kind of personality they bring in. It's always been that way under Whittingham. Is if you're coming to Utah, you're playing Utah. It's just going to be you're going to leave bruised and bloodied. Like, that's just the way that he wants to play football. The defense is going to be really good again. I talked a lot about the D line. Utah rotates a lot of guys through. They don't have necessarily a guy that plays every snap, right? But it's 2 to 3 guys deep at every position on the D line. So there's that fresh factor, get guys rolling through. And then the other big thing is our secondary is notorious for putting guys in the league as well. I mean, Utah puts athletes in spots. Whittingham has, on more than one occasion, recruited a running back or wide receiver, seen what kind of athlete he is, and goes, you know what? You would make a hell of a safety. He puts him at safety, and then the guy's in the NFL 3 years later. So I expect the defense to be just as good as always. And like Bryn said, I mean, our defense was really good last year, statistically speaking. But when you're on the field for 75% of the game, you're going to be worn down. You're probably going to lose if you just can't, keep up with that kind of demand.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I want to take a look at this schedule and really break it down. But first, quick word from the boss man.
You can make a difference here at the Voice of College Football. Use the Amazon link. Financially contribute to the Voice of College Football without spending a penny. Same shopping experience. It's easy. Go to any video on any channel. Go to the description section and grab the link right next to the capital letters that say Amazon. Use that link and Amazon will instantaneously convert to your account, settings, history, everything intact, just like whatever link you use right now. No difference. Pay no attention to the product that you see right there. Just go search what you want. Don't forget the Amazon link. Thank you for your support. Sincerely, the Voice of College Football.
All right, let's take a look at the schedule. And, things that pop out to me, we have a reunion of two former conference opponents, which is always very exciting. Going to the Rose Bowl with UCLA and then going to Wyoming, which, by the way, has a beautiful stadium. Love Wyoming's stadium. But what are your overall thoughts on this schedule and the bounce back potential, y'all?
I'm glad we have Texas Tech at home.
I'm excited.
Because, from what I hear, they've got some hype around them. But so does Baylor. We were just talking about that actually before we came on here, that Baylor has a lot of hype going into this season. And unfortunately, we have to go to Waco, which we did 2 years ago. Luckily, let's see, when is that? In November. So maybe it won't be 500 degrees. Maybe. I don't know. Does it stay at 500 degrees?
It stops being 500 degrees in like mid-October. You're good after October. Yeah.
Okay.
But hey, you don't have to go to Arizona State. You don't have to go to Tech. You don't have to go to Kansas State. I mean, it couldn't be us, right? Freaking our schedule.
Yeah. I mean,
there's a lot to like about this.
Right. I don't love the ending on a Friday. That'll now be the second time where Utah has to end our season on a Friday at an away game. Last year we had to end at UCF, which, travel all the way to Florida on a Friday right after Thanksgiving. So I don't love that. Nothing against Kansas. It's just like, I don't like that scheduling, how they are doing that. I personally still think that rivalry weekend should be that last weekend. I think it is insane to not have Utah playing BYU that last weekend. It's absolutely insane to me. I do not understand it. I mean, I know their reasoning is that they don't want to compete nationally with national rivalries, but shouldn't we be? I mean, if we're meant to be taken seriously as the Big 12 conference, shouldn't you be putting your marquee games on that marquee weekend? I think it's absolutely insane to have us playing in the middle of October.
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah. Every time I see Baylor, in like early October, I'm like, what are we doing? Like, come on, it should be end of the year. Like, it should be Baylor or Tech at the end of the year for us, right? Like, come on. We're not even playing Tech this year. Like, I think, okay, what do y'all think, by the way, before we keep talking about Utah's schedule? Why don't we have pods, right? We could so easily have 4-team pods, right, where you have the same, like, 3 regional rivals locked in every year, right? And then you alternate which teams from other pods you're playing. That seems like such an easy solution to me.
When we were in the Pac-12, they had, the North and South. It was really nice though when they got rid of those, and I think that the pods would kind of be very similar to the North and South. And just the main reason why is there were several years where the 2 best teams came out of this, would have been out of the North or out of the South, and so instead of that, it was the best team from the North playing the best team from the South, who maybe would have been 3rd or 4th place in the North. And so it just didn't work. So when they got rid of that, I think that it really kind of worked out, and it truly became the 2 best teams. Last year, Iowa State, Arizona State, 2 best teams, right? They were team 1, team 2, so they got to play in the championship. If somehow they're in the same pod or, something weird, then they don't get that opportunity. So I like that it's just 1 through 16 and the 2 best teams, win the tiebreakers, win your games you're supposed to win, and you're going to be in it. I personally like that. I think that there should be, however, certain teams that you play every year, especially your rival, right? Utah should be playing BYU every year. And I think that they will. I mean, that rivalry, I don't know how much, other Big 12 schools know. It's a heated rivalry. I mean, we're 40 minutes apart. The number of coaches either that are on Utah or BYU that either played at the opposite school or coached the opposite school. I mean, the offensive coordinator, the head coach of BYU was our defensive coordinator. Our head coach played at BYU. Their offensive coordinator was our offensive coordinator, right? Like there's so much crossover. The rivalry is deep and the hatred is real. We have to play that game every single year. And I'm with you, Bryn. It's criminal. It's criminal that it's on a random Saturday, October 18th. Who cares? Like it gets lost in the shuffle and it almost is like BYU and Utah played today. But if you put it the end of the year, even if it's on a Friday, let's say it's on a Friday at 7:00 and it's the primetime game on Fox, that it gets a lot of play. And so I think that part kind of, it does bug me. And that was the same last year. Utah played across the country at UCF on the day after Thanksgiving. What are we doing? What are we doing?
Yeah. Well, let me clarify. The pods would be exclusively for scheduling purposes, not for standings purposes.
Okay.
So like, for example, if you had like a Texas pod, right? Like TCU, Baylor, Tech, and Houston would be guaranteed to play each other every year.
Right?
And then you rotate like, I mean, it doesn't really work out perfectly because Utah, BYU, Colorado, and then you got 2 Arizona schools. So you'd have to figure out who's getting left. I guess you'd probably move Colorado. It'd probably be like Utah, BYU, Arizona State, and then put Colorado in a pod with like the Kansas schools and Iowa
State.
Yeah. But anyway, it's like you're guaranteed to play those regional rivals every year, and then you mix up the rest of it. This feels like we're just like throwing darts at a board. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, big time.
Like, hey, Utah and BYU will play every year. TCU, Baylor will play. And that's pretty much in Arizona State. Like, we're not securing Farmageddon. We're not securing, friggin' the Sunflower Showdown, any of these other great games, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So if you had to make a call based on the schedule, I mean, what are you thinking wins-wise? What's the expectation? I feel like we still have some objectivity here because it's late June, right? We're not fully into the August, like, me and Bryn were talking about this before the show. Hey, you talked to me on August 31st. TCU's winning every game, right? I've lost all objectivity. But we're in late June, we can still think about this clearly. What are you kind of expecting for a win total out of the schedule?
It's so hard, man. I'm with you, right? Like, yeah, my fandom obviously is going to take over. It's funny. People get mad at us for not being objective. And it's like, dude, we're the Utah football fans podcast.
It's literally in the title of the show.
Literally in the title. I'm going to say that we go undefeated every single freaking year. Even, it's just we're the greatest team ever because that's my fandom. And you think the same of your team. Now, objectively, the Texas Tech game gives me pause. Fortunately, we get that at home. They spend so much money. I'm so curious how that's going to work out. BYU, Utah, that rivalry, it's on the road. BYU overperformed, I think, by a significant margin last year. So I'm really interested to see what they do, how well they do. Their defense will be good. The offense has a lot of questions. If I were right now to put kind of a number, I think 8 wins. Like I would take, if that's the number 7.5, I would take the over 8-9 wins. I would be very surprised at 7. Again, all of this is pending on health, quarterback, all that situation. But I think that 8-9 wins is very, very realistic. I mean, hell, dude, even that UCLA game to start the season, who knows? This Nico kid that transferred in from Tennessee, he wasn't there for spring ball at all. But he's an incredible talent. So who knows what that's going to look like. So I don't know. I would probably put my expectation right now at about 8 to 9 wins. It's kind of where I'm hovering.
Yeah. And so wild that I feel like 13 Big 12 teams could win 8 games. Like the math isn't mathing, but I'm like, everyone's good this year. This is a deep conference. What are you thinking, Bryn?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like James said, my homer, my fandom wants to come in and say, oh, we're going to be 10-2, 11-1. My realism and my experience from the last couple seasons is telling me I'm going to shoot for 9. I want to put that positive optimism out there and say I think 9 is doable. But I agree with you. The Big 12, it's a massive question mark this year to me. I don't feel like you have the Ohio States or like the other teams in some of the other conferences. I was going to say like Texas, but I didn't want to piss off a lot of the Big 12 fans. But in the SEC,
Hey, that just speaks to how trash the SEC is, frankly. Honestly,
yeah, exactly.
We're being real.
You don't
So
have that
overrated,
like
it's insane.
that one team that everyone's kind of looking at. In the Big 12, it really is, it's wide open. And so, which is fun. I like that because it makes it interesting. It makes you actually want to sit and watch all of the games. Sometimes when it's, when it's Alabama playing some team and they're winning 54-0, I immediately turn it off. But when it's a close game, I'm going to be paying attention. So I think that's what's going to make the Big 12 really fun this year, is because nobody knows. We don't know.
Yeah, you are so right. Well, if you had to make a call right now, I'm asking everybody, if you had to make a call right now, who's playing in Arlington at the end of the season?
Man.
I know y'all aren't going to pick BYU. I know you're not going to say that.
No. Oh, man.
No.
Oh, dude, it's hard because I'm so intrigued by, like I said, I think Baylor's super interesting. I think Arizona State is super interesting. I mean, they won the conference last year, but, Scadaboo's gone, and he was a massive part. I don't know, dude. All right, we're going to say Utah, Iowa State.
Yeah, a lot of people sleeping on Iowa State. Iowa State's got a lot coming back.
You got a lot coming back. I think they're going to be better. I think they were good last year, even though we should have beat them. They were good last year. And so that's, I don't know, throwing out Utah, Iowa State. Don't clip that though, please.
Yeah, exactly. I know. I got to look into more. I'm not going to pick Texas Tech, even though they've got all this hype. I think they're going to spend a lot of money and it's not going to go anywhere. That's just how I'm feeling.
Hey, Bren, there's a reason in Texas we call them sand Aggies. All right. Spend all this money and win 8 games. Good for y'all. All right.
Gotcha. And I think there's another team who shall not be named, who's 40 minutes away from us, who is doing the same thing, spending quite a bit of money. And I don't know that it's going to all come together. I'm just going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say Utah and Baylor, and Utah's going to avenge Cam Rising, and it'll be amazing.
I would love that for y'all. Listen, I'm never rooting for Baylor in any game, so I would love that for y'all. I've been saying all of these shows, okay? TCU's got an impossible schedule this year, but I think we're going to be better. I've been calling a TCU Baylor Big 12 championship because the hatred in that building will feed families. It will be a beautiful thing.
That would be insane, dude.
It would be so great.
That'd be crazy.
But okay, and one more thing, actually, because we brought it up, and I feel like we need to talk about it before we end the show. We are seeing here in the Big 12 not only a league that's full of parity and a lot of really, really good teams, but we're seeing 2 very different ways of approaching NIL between teams like Tech and BYU, like you say, who are just going out there and just spending like absolute crazy and just bringing in all of the top names that they can find, versus a team like a TCU or a team like a Utah that is using its NIL funds to maintain talent for the most part and continue to develop that talent like we used to do, right? When the development cycle actually mattered. Mm-hmm. Which of these do you think is the correct way to approach NIL, which is going to be borne out this season?
I'm very much on the development side. I think you can spend, $5 million on one player, but one player does not a team make. You have to have the cohesion. You have to have the chemistry. You have to have that development. And James mentioned this earlier. I mean, Utah notoriously, and Kyle Whittingham especially, has been so good at that, at noticing the potential of a player and developing him into an NFL talent. And I get it. It's evolving. It's different now. You can't necessarily do that, which I do find very frustrating because I'm someone who likes to have a player and watch him play for 2 to 3 years and get to really know the player and then cheer him on at the next level. And it's really hard now when you've got a guy who's making $5 million and then next year he's gone. And it's not sustainable. So yeah, this Texas Tech BYU formula, I know they're trying to, clamp down on it and put some regulation in there. I just don't think it's sustainable because you spend $5 million and say you don't win the championship, then what? Your money was just wasted. So personally, I'd love to go back to more of the development style of it. I hope that it gets back there because I just think this throwing money at one guy instead of developing a whole team, I don't think it's going to play out.
Yeah, I mean, would I love to be one of the schools that had endless, pockets? Sure, I think everybody would love that. I think that there's very few schools in America that have that. But yeah, to be able to throw a blank check at a high school kid so that they come here, or, my biggest area that it really bugs me on the NIL deal is when it's a player from an existing school that then they're having to they go and recruit and they say, hey, we'll pay you, whatever to come over here. That's where it really irks me. That's where I think there needs to be very clear lines. I mean, tampering already is a NCAA rule, but nobody, actually enforces it. So I'm more on the model of develop players. I think that there needs to be some contracts in place, or if you transfer, like the old days where if you transferred, you had to sit out a year. If you transfer, you can transfer once, and if you transfer a second time, because you'll see guys who transfer 4, 5, or 6 times. It's kind of crazy. So I think that NIL on the surface is great. I have no problem with these players making money off of their talent and their skill, and they're entertaining hundreds of millions of people every single weekend. Yeah, make some money. I'm great with that. But this pay to play and just build your team because of the blank check, I think that needs to be reined in. I think that most schools feel that way. So that's kind of where I land on it. And again, I would love to have endless amounts of money that you could just go and pay everybody. But I think that based off of the way things are trending, it's going to go more the traditional route. I still think there's some gray area that they're going to be able to get away with some stuff. I think there needs to be some tightening in on it, but hopefully it goes back to the original mindset of NIL is meant for, hey, your actual name, image, likeness earned you this amount of money because you did this. That's where I want to see it go personally.
Well, and hopefully with the House settlement, we'll see some of that, right? We'll see some more regulation and contracts and that sort of thing. Oh, Big 12 Nation, look at these two beautiful people. Let's bury the hatchet, okay? I mean, come on. Let's all love to Utah moving forward, okay? They're in the conference now. We gave it to them. We worked them over last year. Let's give them a big group hug now.
Hope you enjoyed it because it was the 1 year. It's over now.
Okay. You two, thank you so much for jumping on. Tell the people where they can find you, where they can listen to your podcast.
Hey, Utah Football Fans Podcast. We're all over the place. YouTube, anywhere you get your podcasts. Twitter, you can find me and James there. All the good stuff. Instagram, every platform you can imagine.
Love it. And subscribe to the show, you degenerates. Okay, there it is down at the bottom of the screen. Subscribe to my show, then go subscribe to their show, and you're set. You've done everything that you need to do as a human being. At Big 12 Voice of College Football, there it is running across the bottom of the screen. Also, follow me on Twitter at Clint_Foster55. I'm looking for the banner. I'm not finding it. There it is right there. And my personal YouTube channel at Clint Foster Creations. Follow the Voice of College Football at VOCFD. Check out our website. Download the podcast, do all the things. This isn't your first day on the internet. Like, subscribe, all the stuff. So next week, thinking it's going to be UCF week. I will confirm that with y'all on Twitter. We'll let you know. Until then, I love you. I hope your team wins. And go Big 12. We'll see you around. Go Frogs.
Go Utes.